imaginative, and depending on what we're talking about, courageous, I am soul. We'll be right back. Boom. We have one of the Divine Mother's own in the house. I've never met this beautiful, beloved sister. Her name is Gabriela, and she is quite amazing. I'm not good with names, but I'm really good with energy, I feel. I think we all are. It's telepathy, but looking at your picture, I was like, I know her. But then I looked at the name, I said, no, I don't. But thank you for coming in. Thank you for choosing Soulogy to share your energy and share space with us and honor us with your presence. I'm excited to talk about whatever you want to talk about, but I definitely want to know, have you always been this strange, or did you have a wake up experience? I just have to know from someone like you, because it looks like, just from the feeling I'm getting, that you've always been different.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I've always been different and I always wanted to be normal.
Such is the curse of a star seed.
Yeah, yeah, it wasn't meant to be. So I always felt a lot. I felt what was around, and but that helped me a lot later on in life, and it helped when I started to work with energy. I could literally feel it. I fell in love with it. I could dance with it, and it was very exciting
Wow.
for me to be able to do that.
When did you consciously start working with energy?
Uh, about 2006.
Wow.
Um, that's when kind of the energy found me. I wasn't well, and the energy found me, started to move my hands and legs, and that was kind of weird experience. But the more I trusted it, the better I felt with it.
Mm.
And yes, I just fell in love with it. It was like I found my beloved, and we the relationship grew. It was just beautiful for me, beautiful.
You know,
And once I started to work with energy, I think there's always a progression, and it
mm,
always takes time because we live on this time and space reality. So it's never like this for me. It takes time, and it's a good thing. I was thinking I had to get my driver's license. I had to do 3 tests.
oh yeah.
I just couldn't pass. But once I passed, I knew I can drive. So it was kind of the same with working with the mind or working with emotions. It took years. But once I went through the process, I was kind of confident in my ability. So with the energy, once I started to speak the light language, I got activated in Tahiti. But it took time for me. Like I didn't know what to do with it. So I just spoke with trees and flowers. then I started to tone, and I got these sounds that I knew they're not from me, they're not mine. I never had this voice that was coming through. So it took a while, and then the light beings found me, and they were delighted that I speak their language and I can actually translate what they wanted to bring through.
Wow.
So
So
yes,
I mean, so you said that what was it? The light language came when you went to Tahiti. Would it?
yes. I once the energy found me, I was traveling almost every year to different parts of the planet, and it was mostly about connecting and reconnecting with parts of my soul that I
Wow.
left behind. Um, one thing I want to mention is that the light beings explained to me time in a way that made perfect sense to me. So, in this dimension, and when they talk to me, they use analogies. So, it's easy for me, and pictures, so I can see it. So, the way they explained time was like a string of wool or a string. So, it's long. And we view time as this is the past, this is now, this is the future. But they said in their dimension, time looks like a ball of wool. So it's all interconnected.
Hmm.
And once I saw that, it made perfect sense to me that what we consider past, it's like you saw me and there's some kind of recognition because our connection has its origin somewhere in the ball of wool.
Yes. So how did the energy find you? I mean, was there like an essence, a divine essence, or a galactic presence,
Um, I
or
think
was?
I was ready.
Uh-huh.
I was ready, and I was participating in a webcast just like this. And during the webcast, I went very deep within myself. And then the webcast finished. So I was sitting next to my desk in front of a computer. But before I came out, I could literally feel a presence on my left hand side. And it wasn't just energy, it was a presence. Like, if you were to close your eyes now and I would stand next to you, you could perhaps get a smell of my perfume, or you could get the warmth of my body. So you don't see me, but you get a sense of me being next to you.
Are you flirting with me? I'm
I'm
kidding.
just using an analogy.
I'm
So
just
it
kidding.
was,
We
it
have to
was the
laugh.
same.
We have to laugh through this ascension. We have
I
to
know
laugh.
it's
Uh,
it's not serious at all. So anyway, I felt this presence next to me,
wow.
and then the energy kind of moved me forward as if I was to type letters on the keyboard. So I thought, how silly is that? I can open my eyes and just type. So I literally opened my eyes, opened a document on my computer, put my hands on the keyboard, I closed my eyes, I connected to the presence again, and I typed hello because I didn't know who it was or what it was, and then my fingers moved, and the presence said hello, identified herself as Akazamira. She explained to me that she's part of my soul family, and she also explained that it was time for me to know who I am, where I am from, and what is my purpose of being here on Earth. She also asked for 45 minutes of my time each day. So I would do the same thing. I would open a document and connect. So it was always the same way. Uh, I would open up, just write, hello, beings of light and love. I am here, willing and wanting to communicate. And then the energy would come. I was totally open, trusted, and I would enter into a state of stillness, peace, this nothingness, this wonderful, wonderful state of being. And the energy would come, and then I would speak light language or tone. and then the conversation would start like we're doing now.
Wow. God.
Yeah.
So when it first happened, and I'm asking because you know that these types of things are happening more and more to people.
Yeah.
You know, did it scare you?
No,
No.
no. Uh, it was wonderful experience, and the most beautiful thing was that I knew I wasn't creating this. It did
Mm,
not come from my mind because I would have never ever come up with this.
yeah.
So when the conversation ended, I had a written document on my computer, and I read that, and I took it outside to my husband, and I said, "Look what just happened to me." So he read this, and he said, "Oh, interesting." But then the next day, I did the same thing, and I continued for 7 years,
Wow.
and it was the most wonderful exchange of
So
information, and yeah.
it sounds like you know, or I guess it feels like the way you felt and the way you feel when that was happening. It reminds me of like how people feel when they're having an out of body experience or even a near death experience.
Yeah.
Does that align with what you're how you felt?
Well, I never had a near-death experience, but it wasn't scary at all. It was exciting, like
Mm.
meeting you.
Oh,
You know, we have some kind of connection.
uh-huh.
So let's assume that you would come and you say, Gabriela, it's time for you to remember who you are. So
Wow.
I'm going to talk to you. And because you see, I wasn't conscious. So it wasn't like elaborated stories. It was very simple. They would show me a picture and say, what do you see? And when they explain things to me, I would just basically say, okay,
Wow.
yeah, I see. Um, yeah, so it was exciting. It
It
was,
can you share when she said, you know, it's time to tell you who you are and what your purpose is
not
and where
tell
you're
me, not tell me, not tell me. It's
oh,
time for me to remember.
oh,
You see,
good
big
point.
difference. Because
Yes.
if you would come and say to me, Gabriela, you are a starseed,
Hmm.
I would say, okay, but it does nothing to me. It's just
Right.
information. So they did not come to give me information. They came to give me an experience. So I would experience what they were showing me. That
Uh,
was the beauty of it.
wow.
Yeah.
So
So it
did
wasn't
you?
about me telling me something.
Yeah,
It was much deeper than that. It was important for me to remember
wow.
and to
Wow.
know. And this is a next step because you can remember something but not really know it within your being. That's
Right.
why it took 7 years.
Wow. 7 years.
Yes.
So up until like 2013. So have you remembered where you're from?
Well, I went actually. They took me to the place I am from, and yeah, a lot of things made sense.
Hmm.
Um, you know, when you look back, things kind of align and make sense. And the fact that I'm different, now I know why and why it had to be this way.
Yeah.
Um, so, yes, it helped me a lot, but it was time.
Yes. Was it a struggle in those 7 years to try to fit in with the world? Did you
Uh,
have did you
no,
have
because it was like a secret assignment. So during the day, I was doing the normal things. I worked, I had a family and everything else. But in the evenings, I would go into the room and literally connected with beings from, Arcturus and Aldebaran and different stars.
that's where I know you from, Aldebaran. I'm
Okay,
serious.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible.
that's
Um, yes, so I would travel to these places. I
hmm,
would be taken there. And then the transmission would be over, and I would open the door and enter the house.
Like a
Um,
like a superhero, like Superman, Superwoman. Uh,
it's something like that. Yes, yes. But
so
I
are
didn't share it. I shared the experiences with maybe 3 or 4 people
hmm,
because it was weird. And how do you explain to people that you actually can talk to? You speak the languages, many languages. And I was able to speak with many beings. And once the door opened, they wanted to come and speak with me.
wow.
So I never knew who was going to come through. And that was also exciting.
You're like a cosmic antenna.
Actually, yes. Yes.
They looked down at the Earth
Um,
grid and they said, "There's one."
yeah. And they were very happy that, because, they said that they speak to everybody, but people don't listen because you have to listen from within. It's not like you're hearing with your ears. It's an inner conversation.
That's a great description.
Yeah.
So when you were doing this for 7 years, when you had these experiences, were you conscious of what you were writing while you were writing it, or did you have to go back and read it?
Now that was another interesting thing, that I was conscious what was happening because I was experiencing it, and at the
Mm.
same, so the process, when I think of it, was quite complicated because I was able to translate vibrations into English, write them
Mm.
down at the same time,
Yeah.
have the experience. So when the transmission was over, I would read the document and correct some of the words because, typing with eyes closed, it's not that easy in translating at the same time. So I would read it once and then I would close the computer. And for 5 years, I never went back to the same transmission. I never
Wow.
read them. They were just stored there. And because it's like our conversation, you see, once we have the conversation, I have the experience of seeing you, speaking, sharing with you, and that's all I need. So
Yes.
I don't need to revisit this.
Yes.
So I did that for 5 years, and only in 2017, the light being said it's time to share it with the rest of the world. And I said, "What do you mean? This is private. This is just between you and I." And they said, "No, you're part of humanity, and humanity is now ready." Uh,
Wow.
so they explained that they talk to me, but through me they speaking to everybody, and also that the words are coded. You see,
Yes.
they coded with light and love. That's why I had to be in this vibration with my eyes closed, so I could bring the vibration through my hands. So it's like the love, the intangible love frequency vibration was being brought through in a physical form, and now it's in the tangible physical form. That's the beauty of it. That something which is not of this world was able to come through. And now when people read it, they're able to resonate with the same frequency and they will be altered.
Yes.
So it's
Wow.
a wonderful thing.
So wow, there's so much. So you communicate with many different star family, star system families, and so on.
Basically, Arcturians and the brothers and sisters from Aldebaran, but
Aldebaran.
also, beings like Jesus and Mother Mary and Marilyn, Lakshmi, Isis, they all came through.
Hmm.
And I didn't know who they are. I heard their names somewhere, uh, but didn't really know them. But they were delighted that I speak their language, that I can actually translate their language. So that was
Cosmic,
beautiful.
the cosmic linguist transmitter. So
That,
um,
yeah, that sounds very, very good.
that's my job. My job is
Can
to
I
take.
put that on the business card?
Yeah. So Now, these transmissions, were they of a personal nature or were they of, because this started in 2006. That was
No,
before.
no. Sorry, Todd.
Okay.
The transmission started in 2012,
Okay.
June 2012.
Okay.
Um,
So were
at
they
first, I got in touch with energy in 2006, but it took time for me to, you
Oh,
know, to dance with it, to be with it, to assimilate it. And then in 2012, in June, that's when the beings kind of
wow.
made themselves
So
known to me.
you spent 6 years dancing with it. Was that more of like a feeling, or was that a conversation as you were talking about from the heart?
No. That was like a feeling. I could feel the energy, and I was seeing people, um, clients. So yeah, I started to do healings. Um, I wasn't quite sure what I was doing.
Hey,
I never knew what healing really is, because so later on I asked them. But yeah, I used it with clients, and they felt it.
yeah, I resonate so much more in just a personal thing, but I resonate so much more with energy like yours, where you hear things like, I don't know, or I'm not quite sure, but I think
Exactly.
it's this, instead of
Yeah.
it's this way and no other way, kind of thing. Like you were talking
No,
about.
with an energy, it's a flowing thing, and
Mm,
it's a living thing, and it's a beautiful thing.
mm,
So it's yeah. And when I started to converse with them, I actually asked them, what is healing? I mean, some people come to me and they expect a miracle. They come with a sore arm and expect that when they come off the table, they will be healed. And they said that my job is not to fix anything or change anything. My job is to bring the vibration of the person into harmony.
mm.
And they use an analogy of an instrument. So we are all out of tune. Now, because of our thoughts and emotions, it creates a static on the instrument. So when I channel the sounds and speak light language, it's the instrument is being tuned in. So then we can all create these beautiful melodies, like beautiful orchestra of sounds.
Yeah.
So that's what I do.
So you said that your husband was his reaction was a bit muted the first time, but what happened when you brought it the second and the third and the fourth and the fifth?
I didn't.
Oh, oh,
I didn't. You see, I have to give credit to my husband. We've been together for almost 40 years.
oh! Congratulations.
he he experienced and witnessed many weird things, many things that
He's like Darren on Bewitched. That
uh,
that old
no,
program.
we have a contract, a soul contract,
Yes.
and so he played his part, so I could do what I came here to do.
Wow.
Uh, But yes, some things I would share with him. I would bring the computer into the kitchen and say, just listen to this. But he was there just to reassure me that whatever was happening, I was okay. I wasn't going crazy. um, yeah, he's always been a great support.
Wow.
Um, yeah,
That's
some
amazing.
things were amazing. But somehow he always got it. I didn't have to explain it. He would get it.
Right.
So that was helpful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is and unique too. I mean, I've done a lot of shows and I've heard a lot of stories, and I've heard about, in many cases, these husbands who they'll say, well, he's not awake, but he is, and he doesn't know it, or something like that. But to be together for that long through the ascension,
Mhm.
through is amazing, because as you know, energy so well, it does move, and it it tends to reveal shadows and things like that. And
I'm not saying, no, no, Todd, I'm not saying it was an easy relationship
yes,
because it was a soul contract.
yes,
We shared many past lives together, and that needed to be uncovered.
wow,
And I needed to get the whole story because it's like this life, it's just like one page of a book. And to get a true understanding of what the relationship is all about, you need to read the book of
wow,
life.
that's
So
profound.
I recalled many lifetimes when we were together. And that helped me in the clearing of a lot of hurt and whatever I was experiencing in this relationship.
Wow.
Um,
So, so the information that you've received, I guess in part it must be helped you, at least help you to understand or become aware of your personal journey of the book. But does it also give you collective information and tell you what's happening on the earth and that type of thing?
how can I answer? In 2010, I went through a major inner transformation. They call it Kundalini awakening, but mine took 6 weeks and was extremely painful and uncomfortable, and I was shaking for 6 weeks. My whole body, I lost muscle. The what they say like a fire and ice in the body. I experienced it. I actually ended up in a hospital, so it was very uncomfortable. But once it was like I was giving birth to myself. But once it was done, I started to experience peace. And I didn't know what it was, but all of a sudden I had no thoughts in my head. There was this space. It was different. And when I was seeing clients, we would be sitting in the room and I would get a picture that would relate to the client. And when I explain what I'm perceiving, that would be the aha for the person. So I didn't need to see someone for like half a year to help with assist with the problem. It started to go quicker. So if you would come to me with your relationship problem and then you explain how it is, and all of a sudden I see part of your past life, and I would explain what I'm saying, and you go, oh, that makes perfect sense. That's why I feel the way I feel. And then I would do energetic clearing. So I don't get the story what's happening on Earth, or I just get what I need,
For
basically.
what you need. I'm going to close my window.
Okay.
Your energy, the frequency of this transmission is doing something to all the insects and the elementals out there. They're getting really
I
loud.
am just so happy that we can actually communicate, because sometimes the weirdest, as you know, the weirdest electronic things, alarm systems, all kinds of things goes up.
Yeah, we've had quite a few things happen on this show, and
Yeah.
I recognize it for what it is.
Mm.
Some people say, well, it's this or that, or it's a tech, but it's the
Yeah,
frequency, it's the energy that you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is the most profound experience that you've had? I'm just curious because it sounds like you have them every
The
day.
most, the one,
Yes.
the most
Yeah.
profound.
Yes.
Well, when the being started to come through, it was profound because I was no longer alone. I connected with something. So that was special. But I think the one that touched me the most was when I actually experienced the light. What light, God, this big light. Uh, I was taking part in a workshop, and first time in my life, I felt we did body work, and then we work on emotions. And because of my story, I had a lot stored in the body.
Mm.
So during that process, I released a lot of sadness, like I was howling that much sadness and so much anger, and it was just passed through the body. But afterwards, we were lying on the floor and the music was playing, and I literally felt as if the music was washing me. I could feel that the music touching my body and washing the something. It felt like dirty something. My body was washed.
Mm.
And afterwards, we were asked to do a meditation where we're going onto a spaceship and we'll be traveling in the universe. So I'm in this spaceship, and then I see this light and my name being called, Gabriela, Gabriela, and I literally hear it. So I look through the spaceship and there's this huge light. So I left the spaceship, went towards the light, and the light said, I love you. And I, being polite, I said, yeah, I love you too. And it said, no, no, no. I love you. And when I heard this, I felt it. And I never felt anything so incredible in my whole life. It was the acceptance, it was a mixture of something so incredible. And it felt, I can't tell you how it felt, but it felt wonderful. And so I reached out to that light and took some and put it in my heart because I just wanted to have a little bit of it. And then the light said, now I saw like the planet Earth with many people there. I recognized some of them, my husband, my son, and some friends. And the light said, now go back and give love. And I said, okay. So the meditation, whatever was happening, ended. But for like 2 days, I was glowing. And people who saw me could see something. I was taller, shiner, something. So that made a huge difference because I knew that God knows my name. And if God loves me, then I must be worth something. Because up to that point, I didn't feel it. I didn't feel, I felt all the other stuff. I felt useless and ugly and like a broken cup. So that made a huge difference. But what it did, it started a whole journey for me because once the excitement and the feeling subsided, I thought, oh my God, why would you give me this job? To give love. I mean, what is love? So I got really confused and I started to go within and asking this question, what is love? Where is love? Who has love? So it took me years and years of working through everything which love was not. So all my relationships, the past boyfriends, all the relationships I had with people that started in love, but then through betrayal and abandonment and all kinds of guilt, of all kinds of things, it didn't end in love. So I could see they were like open books with all the hurt and the resentment, all these emotions there. So they needed to be washed clean. And then, only then could I close the book. And it became a book of love. It started in love and finished in love. So I ended up with many books that
I
when
bet.
I
No
can,
what? I mean, no wonder it took you so long with all those boyfriends.
they were parents and
Yes.
lots of people.
Yes.
But it was so wonderful when I went through the process, and that took me 12 years, that I ended up with many books And looking back, all I could feel was love
Mm.
for these people that came into my life. There was no longer, there was a lot of forgiveness that I had to go through, but nothing but such gratitude and love and appreciation for these people that I share some parts with them. Uh, but then, yeah, I could look back and just smile and laugh, but truly laugh. And they never knew what I was doing because it was basically for me because I was suffering a lot at that time. So that helped with that. So I would say that this experience, yes, and then once I discovered what love is and where it is, I thought, how do I give it? And to whom do I give it? Do I give to Todd, but not to the other person, you see? So then it's the concept of oneness. Then there is a process of becoming one with. And that also takes time because, as you know, as a human being, you have preferences and yeah, so the judgment has to go and a lot of other things. But I would say that was the most profound thing, that I went from a deep, deep suffering to love. Um,
Wow, that was a lot.
yeah,
And it's so human. Uh, I mean, I've always been intrigued by people like you that receive on a consistent basis this high communion
yeah,
that, you know, don't allow or that their ego doesn't take over. You know, it's, I would imagine uh, that's a lot. That's a lot of energy that you've communicated with and embodied. But it sounds like the real transformation came through this 12 years and you know, these conversations you had with yourself. It sounds like.
yeah, yeah. And it's not only just 12, it's more like 30-year, 29-year journey altogether. And it
Wow.
started with the mind.
Hmm.
So first, I learned that I have a mind, and it was just wow. Why don't they teach that at school? So I wanted to know how it works, how it is. I learned to slow the brain frequency to the alpha level, where I could use both brain hemispheres. So not only access the logical and the analytical part, but also the creative and the intuitive. And that was very useful, very helpful. And then I was developing inner senses. You know, I could go within and imagine that there is a wall in front of me and just imagine that I'm touching it, but I felt it. So is it smooth or rough? Is it warm or cold? I could form a fist and knock on the wall and hear it. So I was developing all these inner senses that so then you have an inner sight. Yeah, I could use visualization and imagination. So looking back, Todd, I can see how every part, working with the mind, then working with emotions, then working with the energy, it all kind of comes together. It was all necessary, it all took time, but it's like developing your inner being in order to later receive and embody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It sounds like that big ball of wool. Except it sounds like you have to unravel it,
that's right.
and somehow or
That's right.
another, you're as you unravel it, it's winding up again.
Yeah,
You know,
but
I mean, it's
winding in a different way. So they
yeah.
said to me that my whole body needed to be rewired in order to hold the light. Yeah, and that's why they timed the sessions for 45 minutes because otherwise it creates a lot of havoc in the body.
You mean
So
if it's longer than 45 minutes?
yeah, because the way I understand it, if I spent all my life in a cellar somewhere, in darkness. And then one time I come to the surface and I experience the light and the sun. So I can't take too much too quickly. I get sunburn and, the eyes hurt and a lot of other things. So they said 45 minutes and they will time the sessions.
Wow.
But all the time I can say that I spent hundreds of hours in the light. Because for 7 years, I was there on regular basis, just entering the light. Yeah.
Have you seen a change in your clientele over the years, like especially the last 2 or 3 years? Are you seeing evidence of people expanding?
I haven't worked for the last 3 years. You see, we in lockdowns.
Mm-hmm.
In Melbourne, this is the 6th lockdown. So every time I want to start again, have groups, group healings or see clients, we lock down. We can't have visitors. We can't work. We can't do anything. So once this whole thing eases off, I want to share the sounds again. If it's okay with you, maybe we can do a short session now.
Yes.
So you can get.
Yes.
Perhaps you could get a sense of the vibration, or because whatever we're sharing, it's wonderful. But I would really want people to get the feel of it.
Yes.
But right now it's just words and what we're feeling.
You took the words right out of my heart. I was just about to ask you that, but of course, I don't have to tell you that.
Yeah.
I communicate with a psychic every day from Australia, so I know how it works. But yes, please, absolutely, and just you take it over.
So I'm going to connect, and whatever will want to come through, will. The best thing is to perhaps close your eyes and then just feel. Okay. Because the mind will come up with all kinds of stories, but that's not important. Important, it's if you resonate with it or not.
Yes.
And so let me have a little bit of water. It always helps with the energy. Ashitiri kinaka akonake. Eshtene shikeka ako o eshteka kakana kana shikema. Ashoho oko keke shike. Eshtireke keneke akanaka okoko kiyashi. Eshteke keneke maka akaka kishike teke akukoko okona. Ishmasha haraka ikeke. Eshteke ta aku okumake ikaka ako. Ushtutu o shikeka kanaka aki. Ah, hukumakanaka eke shikeke. A ineke a o maka a e. Ishtaka a kokokoshke ka akate. Eteteka ka makanaka akashika ka keishaha. Ashtatano ka okonike akamaka uko. Ohoko ka keyashi. Ishtaraka naka akake. Oh, it's such a joy. Oh.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Wow.
You know, when I when I saw you with Christine, and then I thought, yes, this is the man I can speak with and share with. Uh, the light being said that when I channel today, it will be like a call for all the souls that want to come home to themselves. So it was important to do this part.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, and it will be through resonance. So some will resonate with it deeply. It would stir something within them. And that's the beauty of it. No explanations, no
Mm-mm.
stories, just a purest form of communication, soul to soul, through sound
Yeah.
and light language.
Yeah. I get that.
And it will never ever be repeated again in the way it came, in the same form. So this melody, these sounds will never come in the same form again, in the same sequence. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Mm.
It's it's like the I don't know. The universe is not a noun.
Mm.
It's in motion, and it's like a snapshot of the universe, universal energy.
Mm.
Yeah. I felt it the moment I saw your face, and I felt it before you asked because I was about to ask you. And of course, I've spoken to a lot of people on the show, and I don't know fully what my association or connection is with Aldebaran, but as soon as you said that, I was like, oh, okay, something's coming. Yeah. So, yeah. Be careful. I said, no wonder we have one show because I'm going to have to go lay down because of this transmission.
Yes.
I was right. Um, God. And I loved it. To me, and here I am. One of my purposes, obviously, is to talk and to listen. But there's so much is being said in the wordless and the silence now. Like we talk too much, you know.
And that's another thing I want to say during sessions. You see that the pauses between sounds are as important as the sounds themselves.
Yes.
So that there are like
Yes.
silence, yeah. and it
Yes.
all comes together. But yeah, I knew that what we're going to share, it will resonate with some people. But the most important part of this getting together was actually to bring the
Yes.
call out. Yeah, and it does affect you. Ideally, we would have few minutes of total silence where we can just be. Um, and it's interesting that the state of being, it's not understood by many people. And a few months ago, I was asked by Spirit to leave home and leave my hubby at home and move to the other side of Melbourne, where I now live by myself, and just be. So be still, be peaceful, be loving. It has to be a state of being. Love, it's not a thought, it's not a feeling, it's not emotion, it's a state of your own being. So the last few months, I'm living here and being. The mind has difficulty with the concept, tells me that I need to do something.
There's a
Because
lot of that going. There's a lot of that going on, isn't there? I mean,
yeah,
at least from the people that I've come into contact with. When did this happen? Was it first part of this year?
yeah, from about March on, I was getting the kick that I have to
That's when
go.
Morgan and I. She got it, and then I got it after that. But when we knew that we had to separate, and
Okay.
and you said it perfectly. The mind struggles,
Oh
but the but I mean, we've come so far
yeah, yeah.
not to listen to that voice, right?
Oh no,
Um,
I always listen.
even if it's telling, I always used to say, if you're being told, something crazy, do it.
Mhm.
you know, but it's kind of becoming normal now.
That's
Uh,
right.
but this separation, which really is not a separation, uh, which has been helped by the quarantines because people are being with themselves. You know.
You see, so it's the same with me. Like I moved here and the mind was going crazy because it's not the most beautiful part of Melbourne and I live in a small place and I really didn't want to do that. Uh, but once I moved here, all I feel is being held and loved and yeah, so you don't have to be in the most beautiful place to feel peaceful and loving. It's actually the opposite. But the lockdown helps in a sense that I don't feel tempted to go out and mix with people. And I just go into the state and I walk the streets,
Yes.
and share this peace with the,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
in one way, it's a horrible thing. Uh, and especially for so long. Here in Melbourne, it's been over 200 days of lockdown, total lockdown, you know. But on the other hand, we are doing exactly what we're supposed to be doing, connecting with the feminine aspect, which is about being and just be,
yes.
but not so much in the head, because the head will struggle with it.
Yes, it will.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
it
it's
will.
beautiful, actually, what you said that you are separated, but it's a different form of separation. It's
Yes.
not like because we're still connecting.
Yes.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
left the house and I left the hubby and I'm here, but it's not like the normal separation. The
No.
connection is still there.
It's
But
actually in our regard, and we had to work through it for 2 or 3 months, but it all just clicked. It just clicked at some point and enhanced uh, our awareness and experience and understanding of oneness,
that's right.
and also further dissipated the concept of separation.
Yeah.
It's just not real. And then, of course, the elements of time and space seem to be fading away too.
Mm.
So it's quite extraordinary to hear this from you. I just want to come to your house and have some milk and cookies and talk to you.
Please do. I
I'm
would
coming.
love. I
I'm
would
coming.
love that.
I'm
I
coming.
would love
I'm working on teleporting. I'm working, on the fantastic aspect from the human perspective of what we are capable of. I think this is a time when that's um, supported, and I'm I'm not interested in the things that we've come from. I'm interested in the things that we can do here on
You see, the
in the
light
flesh.
beings, just to share with you, the light beings told me that I did levitate in the past, and things like teleportation um, will be something that we'll be able to do.
I agree.
Um, so it's all there. Um, I don't know if it's going to happen in this lifetime or sometime in the future, but it's definitely in the cards.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yes, I am in total alignment with that, and I'm a big believer in you don't know unless you try it, unless you engage it, and so I love talking to you.
well, now it's very easy to talk to you. It's
Well,
really like an old friend, and that's how I felt when I talked to the old beings. It was like it was easy and friendly
mm,
and inspiring, and the wisdom they shared. It was all just wow, 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 wow. And it's
wow,
like this with you. It's easy.
yes, thank you.
Yes.
Wow, I'd love to have you come back on later in the year if you want to.
I would love to. Um, and I tell you why. Because, when they asked me to publish the books, I did that. And so I published 3 books. And they never asked me to sell books. My job was to connect with them on a regular basis, go to the light, and then bring the message that they had and the vibration into the physical form. And the form is book. It's a book.
Mm,
Uh, they look like books, but they're not ordinary books. So they need to be, you can't read them like normal books. Um, you need to read the conversation slowly over time. So it might take you a month to read one book. But it's important for people to know that they are available. And when people read them, it will help them remember who they are. It will make more sense for them to discover their own stories and to connect to their own being. Because they're vibrational books. They said that they're new generation books. You see that previously we were reading books for information, ideas, entertainment, but these are vibrational books, so they're different.
mm, yeah,
So,
I get that.
but it's also important to understand how to approach them. Because if you're looking for information, you'll be disappointed. If you're looking for transformation, these are the things.
Oh my gosh, that's a great meme.
But I would love to spend time with you again.
Yes,
Um, yes,
yes,
it feels so nice, so easy,
yes.
very
Very cool.
beautiful.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you
I'm
for having me.
I'm speechless. I'm I will see you I will see you in the ethers and in the physical form And I look forward to collaborating with you again. And thank you so much for sharing space and honoring us with your presence, um, and being so open with us, and for the work that you do and have
Yes,
done.
yes.
Of
Because all
transfer.
the work is done behind the scenes, so no one really knows. And it's like that with all the other light workers. You know, we're all doing our bit, but no one really know what we're doing. But somehow now it's time.
That's
That's
right.
why it's time. That's what
That-
we're getting. It's time. It's time to be to see who we are and what we do and share it with everyone else.
Yes, this is what I'm hearing too, and this is what Morgan came up with last month. You know, it's time to get them on. So,
Yeah.
and I'm real excited because every time one like you comes on, others, because I get the messages every day. I'm working on scheduling them now. They say I'm ready now. A lot of them say I don't want to do this, but I have to. So it's very good, very good.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you again. I
Yeah.
would love to come again and share the energy and the light with people. And thank you so much for being you, for connecting people. And yeah, love to you all.
Bye bye.